headed to get a mammogram. The last time I had a mammogram, it didn't end so well. I got my first mammogram last year. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I had found a lump in my breast, so I went in for a diagnostic mammogram and an ultrasound. Came out of that appointment and the radiologist was like, we need to biopsy you right now. It's not looking good. And I looked at the test results at work after the mammogram, and it was like 99% chance of breast cancer. Since that moment, from you found a lump to my breast cancer diagnosis until this moment right now, almost a year later, I've still had this dark cloud just hanging over my head. This dark cloud that existed all throughout cancer treatment. And then after cancer treatment ended, recognizing and realizing that my life has been forever changed by this stupid thing called breast cancer. It's about to be a really busy day for me. I'm headed to my mammogram, then I'm headed back to my ski shop. I was already there earlier this morning. And then I have a call at 11 with someone who's in my cancer group. Then I'm gonna rush home, make dinner for my family, go back to work and work until probably 6:30, 7 tonight. It's really poor planning on my part. Usually I try to take the day off after I have a medical appointment just to give myself some self-care. But today I don't have a choice. There's just way too much going on. And that is just kind of contributing to the anxiety and stress that I'm feeling about the mammogram. I'm just sitting in the parking lot. I'm trying to find my courage before I walk into that building. I think before a breast cancer diagnosis, it's like, oh, I'm healthy, I'm strong, no problems. But once you have that diagnosis, the thought of cancer coming back is very real. And last night I didn't sleep very well because I just kept thinking, like, what if it's back? What if they didn't get all of it? What if it's back, and what if I have to go through all of that all over again? I'm still recovering from breast cancer. That's just like so overwhelming and so scary to think about. So anyway, I'm feeling a little emotional and I don't want to be late for my appointment. So I'm just gonna take a couple deep breaths. And damn it, I have cried so much in this parking lot. It's unreal how many tears I have shed in this parking lot. So I'm gonna head in and cross my fingers and hope for the best. Complete. It was all good. In fact, they didn't even do an ultrasound afterwards. They had one scheduled just in case they found something funky going on. If you've never had a mammogram, they're uncomfortable, but just for a few minutes. They just like pinch your boob down, flatten it like a little pancake, take a picture of it. You have to hold your breath for a couple seconds. It's just like a quick little pinch and then you're good. But it's so much better to get a mammogram and know that your breasts are healthy than to not get a mammogram. If you can catch breast cancer early before it spreads, or early enough so that you might not have to go through aggressive chemotherapy treatments, it's so much better. So check your breasts, schedule your mammograms. It doesn't hurt. It's not scary unless you've had breast cancer before. But it's worth it. Take care of yourself because you're worth it. I'm celebrating my clear mammogram with a frozen hot chocolate. I should celebrate it with a Bloody Mary, but I have to go to work. Back at work, and I have just a few hours to get a ton of stuff done and to get my shop all ready for rentals. I do have a full inbox with questions from you about breast cancer, the process, my treatment, what it all looked like. And so I'm gonna just dive right into those Q&As right now. The first question that I have today comes from Sarah, and Sarah wants to know what the lump on my breast felt like. So when I discovered a lump in my breast, to me it felt like old Play-Doh, like Play-Doh that had been left out a day or two. All of the moms out there can relate to that feeling of what like old Play-Doh felt like. But it felt like old Play-Doh just underneath the skin. It didn't hurt until I found it. And then when I found it, I just kept touching it because I couldn't stop. Because I was like, oh my God, am I touching cancer? I don't know. Is this cancer? I don't know. And so the more I touched it, then it started to hurt. And then I started to think about it, and then it started to hurt. But it was painless when I found it. The next question I have comes from Jane. And Jane asks how long it took from me finding a lump to my breast cancer diagnosis. So I found a lump the first part of November. I had a mammogram the end of November, the day before Thanksgiving. And then I had a biopsy 2 weeks later, and then the diagnosis. So overall, from like lump detection to cancer diagnosis, I would say 4 to 5 weeks. But once you find a lump, like nothing moves fast enough. Like I felt like the whole process moved very slowly because, damn it, I found a lump and I wanted to know what was going on. But it's the end of the year. A lot of people are trying to get in to see the doctor at the end of the year. And also there's like Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I experienced a lot of delays, but I think that was just like the timing of it all. A cancer diagnosis during the holidays really sucks. I mean, like a cancer diagnosis anytime sucks, but a cancer diagnosis during the holidays, things just really go slowly. My next question comes from Julie, and Julie asks why I chose a lumpectomy over a mastectomy. This is a great question, and one that was really difficult to make, actually. My mom and my sister are BRCA2 positive, so they carry a genetic mutation that puts them at a high risk for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. I tested negative for that genetic mutation like a decade ago as my mom was undergoing a double mastectomy, and we were finding out all of this family history with breast cancer and ovarian cancer. So I had genetic testing like a decade ago and tested negative. When I had my diagnosis, I had genetic testing again just to double check, make sure I didn't have a false negative. And I still tested negative for the BRCA2 genetic mutation. And because of that, I felt like it was safe for me to not have a mastectomy, but just to have a lumpectomy. Another reason I chose a lumpectomy over a mastectomy was because much easier recovery with a lumpectomy. And also, I wanted to have some remaining breast tissue if possible so that I could continue to get mammograms because I like that increased surveillance, and I like going back and knowing that if something is unusual, I can have a mammogram and get that checked out. But I definitely spent a lot of time thinking about what surgery to have, talking to doctors, talking to other women who had had breast cancer before I made that decision. So that is a decision that should not be made lightly. It's a really significant decision. So I chose a lumpectomy, but I know full well that if my breast cancer returns, which it might, then a double mastectomy is definitely in my future. The next question I have comes from Joe, and Joe wants to know what the most difficult part of cancer treatment was. I kind of just want to be honest and say all of it. All of it has been really hard in different ways. So, I think when you have when you find a lump, when you have a breast cancer diagnosis, it's very emotionally difficult because you just don't know. There's so much uncertainty until you have surgery and find out your next steps from there. So, from lump detection to diagnosis, it was really difficult emotionally. And then for me, recovery from surgery was difficult because it was ski season and I just wanted to be outside playing in the snow. I mean, I own a ski shop. That's what I do. And so I felt like I was very limited with my mobility and my range of motion in my arm. And so I was discouraged not to be able to be playing outside and doing what I love. Then I started chemotherapy, and chemo just made me so horribly sick. Everybody reacts to chemotherapy differently, and my body did not like it at all. And so I was just very sick for several months, and that was difficult to like peeling yourself up off the bathroom floor to go to the bed. Like I was just really sick, and I just did not handle chemo very well. So for me, it was hard to all of a sudden not have any energy, not have any strength. My mouth hurt, my hands and fingers started to hurt from neuropathy. Chemotherapy was just really hard for me. But then again, I know women who just breeze through chemotherapy and they're able to work and do all the things. And I'm so happy for women who can just make it through chemo and experience that, because I think that's more more common. So far, I would say that radiation was actually the easiest of all of the treatment that I went through. I felt really tired. I took a lot of naps, and the last couple weeks I started to have some burns. But overall, I felt like radiation was doing something, but it didn't really just wear me out the way that chemotherapy did. The last step is the step that I'm on right now, and that is kind of like the recovery step. It's like phase 4. And so I am taking hormone therapy. So I'm taking a little pill every night called Arimidex, and it's a really nasty little bitch of a pill, and I hate it, but it's trying to block my estrogen. So this is another phase of treatment that is really difficult for me mentally, because I feel like I want to be like healthy and strong and doing all of these things and active, and instead I'm just really exhausted, and my body just hurts. Like I just ache, like my joints and my bones just ache, and I'm still suffering from neuropathy in my hands and my feet. I tripped going down the stairs the other night because I couldn't feel my feet. And it's worse with cold weather. And this is my shop. This is my livelihood. I need to be able to use my hands and my feet. I need to be able to teach ski lessons and grip a ski pole. I need to feel my feet when I'm skiing so I don't fall. So right now I feel like this is a very difficult time. I also have some other health issues as a result of some of the chemotherapy drugs that I took. So there's some other organs in my body that are not very stoked right now. So I'm experiencing some other health issues that I'm not going to get into here. But this phase is hard. But it's hard to go from strong, healthy body, and then when you're sick, everybody understands, because you're in chemotherapy, you're supposed to be sick. And then when you have surgery and when you're in chemo and radiation, I feel like people understand that that's like a time when you're not going to be healthy. But I think after it's all said and done, people expect you to just like bounce back and be ready to go. And the truth is, I'm still sick, and I still don't feel well. And I hope that gets better. I think it will get better. But just hanging on. Next question is from Jordan, and Jordan wants to know if I was able to work throughout cancer treatment, and the answer is no. Like, I own my own small business, so the good news is that I have a lot of flexibility, but I just didn't have a lot of strength and stamina. In fact, that's kind of what I'm experiencing right now. Like, my store's supposed to open tonight, and then you can see that it's just a mess. And it's a mess because, you know, when it was May and June, I thought, okay, I'll get the shop ready to go when I'm feeling better, but I didn't feel good. And then in June and July, I was like, I'll just work on it when I feel better, but I didn't feel good. And now it's the middle of October, and I actually feel worse than I did back in July and August, and rolling into a ski season. Right now I'm kind of going through this thing, and it's like, what am I gonna be when I grow up? And am I living my passion? I don't know. So I don't know what work looks like in the future for me. I'm gonna get through this ski season, and then I don't know if I'm just gonna sell it all, or I don't know if I'm gonna just close the doors until next winter and be stoked about that. I just don't know. But I do feel like life is really precious and time on earth is really limited. You know, when you go through cancer, you realize like, this shit could come back. It's real, like it could come back. And the next time it comes back, it can kill me. And so I feel like life is very precious. Life is very valuable. And I don't want to waste it working my ass off. I think a lot of people finish cancer treatment and they're just like, they're like, I need to write a memoir. I need to do something big, something monumental to like mark this transition, this growth, this change that I've made. And I don't feel like I want to do anything monumental. And in fact, I feel like I'm kind of, I don't even know if I love owning a ski shop, but I don't even know if I want to like keep doing this anymore. And with Hike Like Woman, I've had some changes too, where it's like I don't want to guide trips anymore. And I love taking women out on backcountry adventures, but For me, it's more important to spend that time with my children in the backcountry, which is weird because like I gotta pay the bills, especially now after cancer. I really gotta pay the bills, but it's just caused me to reflect on like, what am I doing with my time? How am I spending my time? Who am I spending my time with? What impact am I making? What legacy am I gonna leave? All of these questions. It's just, I think before I was kind of superficial, like everything was just up here on the surface. And I feel like I've just like been diving deep into figuring out like the meaning behind all of this and how I can be a better person and how I can take care of my mental health and my physical health and all those things. I have a couple more questions, but I gotta get to work. Okay, so I got a question about some like resources that have helped me. So like books, podcasts, articles. So I'm going to go ahead and make a resources section on the website for all the resources that have helped me with breast cancer. In the past couple weeks, I've been introduced to art therapy, and I don't like go see an art therapist, but I really like the concept of just like writing or drawing and just like putting how you feel, your emotions out on paper. So these are some of my drawings and some of my children's drawings too, because I think it's been also good for me to like sit down and draw with my kids and then talk about what we're drawing. But I want to show you one picture in particular that talks about friendship and how my friendships have evolved during the past year. So I have noticed that I have several types of friends, and this is just a pyramid, just a little picture that I drew of the types of friends that are in my life. And if you're a woman in your late 30s, early 40s, you might recognize that this seems similar. So at the bottom of the pyramid here, these are people who aren't our friends, but people who always want something from us. I had an example of this a couple of weeks ago. A woman who I don't even really know reached out to me, and she wanted me to do this huge, massive favor for her. And she knew that I had been in cancer treatment all year. And I just, this person only comes out when she wants something from me. And in the past, I would have been tempted to just help her out. But now I'm like, nope, because people who come out of the woodwork when they want something from me and from us in general, these are not our friends. And so those are the free friends, and they're not friends, they're acquaintances. Next up, these are the food friends. And these are the friends who are going to start a meal train. They're people who are going to drop off a cup of tea on your porch. These are friends who are going to say, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. What do you need? These are friends who serve you through serving food. And there are two types of food friends. The first one is these are friends who make a delicious dinner for you. They take into account what you like, what your family likes. They think about you as they're preparing a dish to drop off at your home. And those are beautiful friends. The second type of food friend is also not a friend. These are what I call trauma tourists. These are people who just want everyone to see their name on the meal train. They want everyone to see what a delicious dinner they're going to make. I've experienced trauma tourists, people who really like to be the first to know, people who want to know everything that's going on with your diagnosis and how you're feeling. And often it's just so that they can, be the person who knows, right? And the person who starts the rumors around town. And so there's two types of food friends, people who make the food for you with love, and then the trauma tourists. And once again, these are not your friends. And you can see here, the second group of friend is a little more special. These are really intimate friends. These are friends who have your phone number. And these are friends who are just going to send you a text message, and they're just going to say, I'm thinking about you today. These are friends who are going to call you the day that you have a doctor's appointment. They're friends that are going to send you a text message on a chemo day, and they're just going to say, I love you. These are really special friends. They're really important friends. And I couldn't have made it through cancer treatment without friends who would just pick up the phone and call me or text me and not expect me to call or text them in return. Phone friends are your true friends. The final type of friend, and I have to be honest, I think I only have one or two of these friends, but I call them flame friends. These are friends who are going to sit with you in your darkest moments. They are friends who are going to sit with you. They are not going to judge you. They are going to sit with you in silence. They're going to not give advice, but they're friends who are just going to walk that lonely, dark path with you. And this idea for flame friends came to me in Brene Brown's book, Daring Greatly. She talks about her daughter and just sitting with her daughter who was having a hard time in the darkness. And she was tempted to just turn on the light, but she just decided to sit with her daughter in the darkness as they had this conversation about something that was going on. And I thought that was really special. I grew up with a blind grandpa. My grandpa couldn't see. He was blinded in World War II. And because of that, darkness never seemed bad or scary to me because I knew that my grandpa's world was dark, but he was still happy. I really appreciate this thought of having friends that just sit with you in the darkness. And here's a quote from the book, Daring Greatly, Brene Brown. And she says, sit in the dark with them. Don't flick on the lights. So I'm really thankful for all of these, my food friends, my phone friends, and my flame friends who've sat with me in the darkness. If you have a friend who is going through cancer treatment, I would encourage you to just be a friend. Like be whatever kind of friend she needs you to be. Be the food friend, be the phone friend, be the flame friend. It is hard to be a flame friend. As you're that friend, recognize that just because the hard things are over, just because surgery is over, chemotherapy is over, radiation is over, it's still really hard. I'm 90 days out of radiation almost. I would say that right now, as I'm just like processing the last year, and as I'm trying to get back to work again and doing all of these things, things are more difficult for me now, physically and mentally, than they were 90 days ago. And I'm so thankful for those flame friends. That's a wrap. I am done with work for the day. I got done a little early actually, so I'm gonna head home, eat dinner with my family. But if you wanna watch more videos that kind of talk about my breast cancer experience, there's a video about what it felt like when I found a lump in my breast. And then another video that talks about kind of like that process between like I found a lump and surgery. And after surgery and chemo, I just kind of stopped making videos. There's also a video about how to be a good friend to someone when they're going through cancer treatment and why you should never comment on someone's hair after it starts to grow back after chemotherapy. So check those videos out. If that interests you, I will drop links to them in the description below. If there's ever anything I can do to answer any questions or help you out in any way, I am just an email, just a DM away. I'm happy to help you. I recognize that everyone has a different cancer journey, different experiences as they're going through cancer treatment. So I'm just one perspective, but I'm happy to help. Thanks for tagging along with me today on a rather emotional and hectic day. Thanks so much, and I will catch you on the trails.